firstly, stunning piece of beautiful, beautiful work. So I want another round of applause for Mike Eley. It's clearly a very kind of traditional, beautifully written Du Maurier period piece, but with completely fresh feeling. Just in the way that it's in its composition and its camera movement and its, but also in its authenticity. So that it never felt like it really settled down. It felt very live and realistic. Mm-hmm. This is your third project with Roger Michel, is that right? How's that?
Yeah.
How did you meet Roger?
Well, I met Roger when he was looking for someone to shoot The Lost Honor of Christopher Jefferies, which was an ITV two-parter, right. About a year, 18 months before this, and we shot that, and I sort of quickly learned sort of Roger's sort of style, which is very quick, right. and we sort of hit upon. I've seen Roger's previous work, and I hadn't seen it evident in those. But so I think it was something that came out of shooting Christopher Jefferies, which was this, which the sort of the focus pulls and the sort of right. and very often not pulling to
yes.
to whoever's talking or pulling unusually slowly.
Yes.
Which and it was quite sort of because of the subject matter. I was actually watching this. I was thinking about the echoes of Christopher Jefferies. How it was someone who is suddenly plunged into. They think they're in a world that they know, but yes. suddenly the world is turned upside down, and so how to convey that sort of discombobulation. And then with that went well, and then Roger said, he was adapting Du Maurier's My Cousin Rachel, and it seemed to be a sort of rather effortless sort of just continuation right. of that.
That's always a nice thing to get asked to carry on.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Do you think that idea of speed, was a thing that obviously he's made films, but he's done TV as well? Do you think that there was a TV film sort of difference, or do you think that was just that sensibility that just carried on? I
think that's just Roger, really. I mean, he does it. He's got a very strong sort of theatrical sort of grounding. I mean, still, he goes effortlessly backwards and forwards between film and theatre and sure. TV. I think I often think that if he could just get rid of all the equipment and just sort of have him,
yes. I know some people like that as well.
Him and the actors, and just sort of play it out that way. Yeah. Sort of the less toys that are around, the better. And but it sort of brings a sort of purity to the process, and makes you, and focuses the mind on the sort of the lighting and the composition. And
that's the thing. I mean, as much as as a director like that might, and I've experienced a few of those who want the room, yes. they want everywhere in the room. It also it feels like he's blocking, or the blocking that evolved, and his editing was actually quite was kind of elegant and sparse. It wasn't very quick, and it wasn't. So it gave you a chance to settle into actually rather beautiful, kind of portraity, but still engaging. So there's lots of look-throughs and.
That's right. Yeah. I mean, we never did that many takes. I mean,
his coverage feels very efficient.
It is. I mean, he knows he knows exactly what he's after before we start shooting, and it's we would set up, and I guess in the sort of normal way, we get the actors in, we would block it, and see what, if it played in one, then it would be soon evident that would be the case, and so that wide shot would need to be absolutely sort of spot on, and but then we would find things. I mean, that's the beauty of working with Roger. I felt is that although there was that process, there was always that room to find the unexpected.
It's not too prescriptive.
Yeah.
That's the lovely stuff, isn't it? It's just finding stuff when you arrive. And when the actors start bringing that to life.
Yeah,
and you start finding
exactly.
stuff.
Yeah.
Super. It's how long did you shoot for?
I think it was probably about 30. No, it must be more than that, because we did some in Italy as well. I think it was probably upper 40s.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did that feel quick?
Did it feel quick? No, it didn't feel particularly quick.
Yeah.
I mean, it was. We did.
Or was it enough time to? Did it feel like you were kind of rushing?
Well, we had this one location, which helped. We didn't do too much moving around, so that seemed to sort of compress the experience into our time. Yeah, because normally with period stuff, you find yourself picking rooms and areas from various houses around England. So you do that room there. But the West Horsley house was this wonderful gift where we really could go from room to room. And so when they moved, there wasn't anything out of bounds.
Yeah.
The only bit of out of bounds to that house was the frontage. When you with your back to the house looking out.
Yes.
There was the A346 going past. That was the only thing that you couldn't point the camera at. Right. Everything else was up for grabs, and that was a wonderful house because of the weirdness of it. There's sort of different architectural sort of details.
I've shot there actually. I
shot
in the lobby bit where the fire is, and you had it. It was all very painted down and beautifully dark and dirty, and when I shot there, I was putting 4K through the window, and it was all super bright and lovely, but it didn't look like that at all. And you were there before me anyway. So, did you use a lot of? I've been told, because I spoke to your post supervisor today, completely by accident, Louise, and she was talking about you did a fair amount of green screen work. Is that right?
Yeah, we did. Because
it didn't feel. There wasn't. There was barely any. It didn't feel like a lot of that.
Apart from the big 40 by 20 blue that was hiding the A314 or whatever, was her room, Rachel's room, where a lot of action takes place. Of course, that main window again looks out that way, and of course, we wanted to put the coastline and the sea that was just over there. So that there was a lot of green for that room. Elsewhere, I don't think there was much.
What floor was that on?
That was there's only one, the ground floor, and then there's the first floor.
But it was upstairs?
Yeah. So
upstairs.
A lot of scaffolding involved. So Paul Murphy, who's the gaffer, which he loves, of course. He loves that kind of challenge, as you well know.
Yes.
So, yeah.
In terms of the approach with camera and movement, so it moved seamlessly, but it felt like it was quite important about the way that you went handheld, or that it was quite steady or kind of tracked. Was there a plan for that, or was it just something that Roger and you kind of came up with on the moment?
Yeah, well, when we started, what was nice about this project was we had a long run up to it, as far as sort of talking about it and sort of prepping for it. And we originally wanted to shoot on the 65, on the Alexa 65, right. and we did quite a bit of testing on that, and we sort of fell in love with the sort of portraiture of that camera could provide, and particularly there was a 85mm that was just lovely, which Roger completely fell in love with. He said, we want to shoot this film on this,
Just one lens.
Yeah, and well, there weren't not many lenses around then.
No.
I think probably are by now. But ultimately, the numbers just didn't add up for us. Sure. We weren't that kind of film as much as we wanted to happen. But we did establish that thing of wanting to, sort of gravitate very close to both of them as characters, and really get close, and even too close sometimes. And so that sort of sprung out of that. And Roger said, he wanted to be. He always said, we should be respectful of the periodness of it, but we shouldn't be a slave to. We shouldn't be over respectful to it. And so let's, when we can, let's sort of chuck it around a bit and just sort of
I think that feels what keeps it fresh, and it stops it being too composed and too still and too...
Yeah. But there are times, when you wanted to, sort of take her in and take Rachel in, as he does. Yeah.
Cool. So in terms of it, there wasn't anything that was sort of the other end of that is whether there's anything that was specific to characters, whether there was kind of lenses or a camera movement that was specific to.
No, I think it was more of a journey of the sort of breakdown of his mental state, and also there's a sort of tipping point, and it changes for people as they watch it. When is that time when you think, hello, I think she's, and
well, it tips back and forth.
Yeah, and very often we would shoot a scene in different ways. Sometimes we would keep it very still, and then do a sort of slightly more sort of roaming one, because we didn't, in the edit, you wouldn't quite know when, or at least Roger wouldn't know quite when he wanted to, flick that switch. So for both of them, as for the scenes that feature afterwards, and probably very, very much after he's collapsed for the first time, then it seems to, for me anyway, it sort of seems to sort of take off then, and it gets really quite swirly. And there we had I used a T1 lens for some of the more sort of close ones where so the focus puller just stepped back, and then it was just me sort of finding it.
Right. Okay.
So I could just move in, and that was that gave it an extra sort of sort of feel to it.
Did you always use two cameras? I know Simon Baker was with you.
Yeah, Simon was with us for quite it was, I would say predominantly it was a single camera.
Is Roger a one camera man?
Yeah, it's like this is what we're looking at, and and it's and again it's that speed thing. It's the two cameras are great, but very often
sometimes they're terribly useful.
It was useful for the edit, but I think it was just let's just keep it simple.
So obviously Simon did a bit of Steadicam for you, and Chris was saying that you used some Steadicam in Italy as well. But I saw I was looking on the IMDb credits, Rizwan was credited. Did you have a go on the Letus Helix, which is the? Yes,
I did.
Did you get to operate it?
I did.
What did you think about that?
I didn't. The only shot I think that survives from that is the very early on, and it's the one with the dogs.
The dogs
at the beginning.
Sure.
There's no women allowed in the house. Or there's no women in the house. It's the only women with dogs or whatever. The only females are dogs. That was. I thought I might use it more, but in the end, it's for me. It's just another thing that separates me from the camera.
Sure.
And I prefer it sort of on the shoulder, or I use the Easy Rig.
Yes.
A fair bit. So that was an acceptable distance.
Production design, you said you were involved from really quite early on. So did you, and working with Alice Normington, did you? Did you get as much as you would like of that kind of interaction with colours and fabric and practicals and dressing? And
no, very much so. I mean, it was because the house transforms. Rachel transforms the house once she moves in, and She dresses in black until the very, I think pretty much the last scene when her period of mourning is over. She's pretty much in black. So that was an interesting thing, especially in the early part before she transforms the house. So it was the figure sort of emerging out of that, and it was finding particular sort of shades of grey, and that would work.
A beautiful blue in there as well.
No, I love the blue of the dining room in the early scenes. It was really lovely. I mean we did a lot of testing for that, and with the candles, I mean that was the luxury of having some prep time. But it was, and we could have access to the house as well to do that.
So, that sounds great.
Yeah, I know. It was, And it was, I mean, I'd already decided that, well, I guess it came out of the testing, with that all the night stuff, all the night scenes I would shoot at 1600.
Right.
So and just try and use candles as much as possible as the primary source.
Sure.
So we had not only the candles in shot, but also they would be off to the side.
I'm going to come to that, to your special
sort of supplementing.
One of my favourite scenes actually is the one where he goes to visit her after he's shouted at her, and they apologise to each other. A bit where he comes in with a single candle and it's behind that thing. Yeah. And the fact that it holds for so long.
Yeah.
It's just this.
You can see why houses burnt down. A lot,
well, yeah, it was close.
It was like,
it was close to that muslin.
Well, that was day 3, I think, and Roger said, I want this to be dark. I don't want any, I said, well, there's moonlight coming through. No moonlight, nothing. So just the candle.
But there's that little bit of room of moon ambient.
Yeah, there's just.
I'm always that trying to solve that. Trying to do no light moon.
Yes.
In interior, how do you do that?
Well, they're in the bed, which is this amazing 4-poster. And so I sort of lit within the. I sort of forgot about windows or anything coming through. So it was just tiny little tubes, sort of situated up in which just gave. And Rachel was sort of sweated up a bit, so her skin would sort of reflect, and then the candle, and it was just sort of. And as I say, it was day 3, and we've got the note from Fox saying,
"Oh, really?
Can't see the set. Where's this set? It's like
we've paid all this money."
Yeah, exactly. Normally, that's a scene that you'd like to do at the back end when they've enjoyed.
Yeah.
But it was so you just have to.
Well, I love it. I think the times that I've gone terribly dark and clenchingly dark, it's usually the director that's giving you that. In an ideal world, because I would probably make it a little bit more studio acceptable, but it's when the directors are pushing you to go dark. I think that's when it's
great when they give you that confidence just to sort of
But it's beautiful, and getting cast to light themselves is always a good one.
Yes.
Just hold it about here.
Yeah. So that was always a rather lengthy.
No, not here. There.
Yeah.
Beautiful use of a drone, just very quickly, just very sparse, elegant.
Yeah.
No, nothing.
Yeah. That was
hot rodding.
Great work by Jeremy Braben and his boys. And it was just the right thing, because that coastline is hard to convey sort of fresh, and I think they worked really well.
Beautiful
really well.
stuff.
Yeah.
So you shot on Alexa XT, I believe, and on Speed Pancros. Just quickly, how did you come to those?
It was wanting just to. I knew it would be with mostly with candlelight, but not with a zoom. I mean, I just wanted to be. It was that thing of sort of keeping one lens. I mean, we didn't use that many lenses, probably. Sort of 32. I think was the hero lens throughout, and that worked really well. And just went through a lot. I mean, I went to Arri and just saw just went through all their lenses. Brilliant. And the speed of the Pancros were obviously a big help, and just felt they had a really nice look to them, and sort of we were shooting the open gate on the.
You shoot raw.
Yeah.
Cool.
And
that will help with the 1600.
And just thought they worked really well.
Yeah.
And there was enough of them, to get good range. I think there was some S4s in there just to fill the gaps in as well. Yeah.
But as you said, did you find that you started? This often happens with me, and you end up with like 3 out of the set actually kind of you hero with, so it's often a 32, 35 and that. And then your wide is an 18, and then you kind of use double.
Yeah.
I tend to find I start using doubles of things, so then it becomes a 65, 85 becomes my portrait, and then. So is that what happens? I suppose if you're especially on a limited set of lenses.
Yeah, I would tend to. I used to. Mostly it was the sort of 32, but then just move in.
Yeah.
We chose a lot of the sort of shooting through things on the sort of the longer ones, just to sort of abstract the foreground. But it was again that thing of wanting to keep within the orbit of them. And so it was keeping to the one lens and sort of going in. Yeah.
Yeah, it just maintains that perspective.
Yeah.
Did you use a lot of smoke?
Yeah.
You did?
Yeah, there was that's a bit of a bugbear. That's always a real challenge to control. Yeah. But we had enclosed rooms, so we could control it reasonably well. But yeah, there was the candles produced their own.
Sure.
Yeah, especially using sort of double wicks, and sort of they do produce quite a bit. But yeah, we always used to have some Atmos in there. Yeah.
And you had Chris Reynolds doing that deal. Chris Reynolds' team.
That's right. Yeah.
So
yeah.
Got good people.
Yeah.
So that's pretty much all I've got. Oh, just in terms of that VFX, you did you said you did some window replacements and stuff. Was there a lot of just kind of period cleanup? Because obviously when you're shooting a period film and you're being relatively loose and wide with things, you're going to get, landscapes and pylons and all sorts of various things. Was there a lot of that?
Not a great deal. Most of the big exteriors were down in Devon, which and it was a sort of private land. And there was not a great deal of sort of modernity sort of hanging around, and it was more a case of putting things in, little sort of sailing ships, and
sure.
But no, not a great deal. I think it was pretty. That was mostly the stuff that we were creating on our green screens. Yeah, there was effects. Cool.
Okay. Right, I think that's right then. Who's got a question? Hello. Got a microphone winging its way to you. It's got a red top.
Hello. I was wondering what was your thought process when you were told, I want you to shoot my period film. So how did you imagine how you would shoot it in terms of filters, lighting, smoke? You said that there was smoke and there was candles. I was wondering if there was filters and diffusion filters, for example, how you would deal with them, and if you had any struggle having candle lights and filters at the same time, reflections. So how did you imagine shooting your period film?
Well, there were no filters for a start. So, and just going back to what we were saying about being respectful to the periodness of it, but not overly so. We always approached it as a sort of character study, disregarding the period. We knew the period part of it would be there in the writing, in the sensibilities of the characters that du Maurier had created. But it was, I guess, our job to sort of contemporize, if that's the right word, these characters. And then we could do that, sort of shooting them as if they were modern-day characters. It was a matter of fact that they would only have candles then. It was 1840, so very definitely pre-gaslight. There would have been oil and candles. So I worked on the basis that would be my primary source of lighting. Some of the lenses did produce sort of halos, and there's some scenes where the candles do sort of sort of have a sort of almost starburster thing. That was a characteristic of the lens. To be honest, I just went with that. I mean, it was the lens that worked for the shot, and if that was the result, then it's. I mean, if I don't tend not to use filters. I don't. They're always producing sort of effects like that you're trying to get rid of, and spend valuable minutes trying to tilt the filter so it avoids it. And so just get rid of it.
Well, just quickly, just about the candles. I was talking to your gaffer, Paul, and he showed me them. Can you explain a little bit about your Barker rig?
Yes, I've completely forgotten why we called it.
It's the 4 candles, I think.
Oh, right, okay, yeah, right. Yeah, so it was just a means of supplementing the candlelight and having it reflect more the movement of the flame. So it was a sort of semicircular, sort of concave sort of drum, I guess. Imagine a drum cut in half vertically, and then we would put quite a few candles into this, and then with sort of Baco foil, I think, in the back, sort of reflective, and put it on a stand, and you could just wheel it in. And I guess you could use it, like a sort of china ball or something, and sort of twiddle with the sort of thing. But it had a natural feel to it, and so
you push that in as a key or use it as a
fire?
fire?
Yeah, use it as a key. Yeah, or if it would take the place of the fire, because the sound department always want to turn the fire off as soon as they can. So get rid of that hissing. So that would come in and sort of replace the firelight.
Lovely.
Yeah.
You copyrighted the Barker rig, or is that?
I believe Paul's onto it now, even as we speak. Yeah.
Very good. Another question. Oh. Stereo question.
Hey, yeah. I was curious to hear about your tests with the Alexa 65. I'm just wondering, were there any elements, 65 versus 35, that would give you pause to not go for the 65 if budget permitted?
No, I tried it as a hand-holding camera, and it's fractionally wider than the XT, but other than that, it was a perfectly hand-holdable camera. The lenses were an issue then.
There's just not many
for us.
Not many around.
Yeah, and there was. So we. No, I'd love to have tried it. Yeah, if we could have made the money work, but just the sheer data that it would have produced made it very prohibitive, for us. But that's that 85 lens that we fell in love with. That drop off that had for the faces was exactly what we were looking for, and so we found it sort of by other means on the XT, but.
And you didn't feel like you would ever miss the depth of field because you could just stop down if you wanted to find depth?
Yeah, it would be more extreme on the 65, but it was once that road is sort of cut off, you work with what you've got, and it became our tool.
I'm really sorry, can I just ask a really quick question, just because I wasn't sure I understood what happened after Fox said, we can't see enough? Did you actually have to give in and kind of play safer?
No, not really. It was that's when you have a good producer who can just step forward and say, don't worry, no, this is a scene that was always going to be shot, just happens to be day 3, and I know it's sort of scaring you, but that's when a producer can protect you. And Kevin's was very good like that.
And a colorist. We worked with Adam at Goldcrest.
Yeah, and he did fantastic work on it. Yeah.
Cool. Another question.
I think your night stuff looked fantastic. I was wondering how it seems like some of it you did on the blink and some of it you lit perhaps with machinery as well. I was wondering whether you're going to explore a bit more about the night stuff, the exteriors, particularly at the front of the house.
Yeah, well, we did shoot the stuff that was on the blink. We sort of timed those to shoot then. Roger hates night shoots, loathes them, will do anything to not shoot them, and he was trying to get me to do day for night, and which I know he'd done very, very successfully on previous films, but I just said no, it's just not going to work on this one. So very reluctantly, he was forced into staying up after the sun went down, and yeah, I mean it's again trying to find that right level. I found we had something. We had a light up on the crane over the house, and then just some image 80s around on the sort of guttering around, just to pick out him as he sort of crossed it when he crosses the courtyard to climb the ivy to the bedroom, and again, I wanted a crane to sort of follow him from there, but that's a toy too far.
Right.
So it was a piece of track that I sort of followed in, and I stepped off the track and then climbed boxes, halfway up the house. That pleased him.
What did you use for what is your favourite moon?
My favourite moon? I'm not sure if I found it yet.
Yeah, I think that
I mean, it was.
What's your favourite moon colour?
Yeah,
Paul likes cyan,
I experiment. I mean, I've gone sort of green and sort of slightly. It's just a little bit of half blue. I think is just. I mean, there's that blue thing is always looms large, but it's actually pretty neutral, and whatever we shot it with, I remember being in the grade with Adam. Just make it neutral, just make it a grey, whitey thing, just as long as it picks him out. It wasn't. I mean, when I did when we did Jane Eyre some years ago, and there was. We used a sort of, I think a sort of Liberty Green or something, right. Really something quiet with a real statement of moonlight, and that worked for the story, incredibly gothic. But this wasn't that, and then and the word gothic was not to be mentioned in relation to this into this film. That was it was. Yeah, because that was in danger of sending us too far down.
Well, that's good, isn't it? That kind of when you establish rules, that's fun, right? You kind of set up these things where that you can always quickly refer to. So you go, oh, well, we're definitely not going to do that. We're definitely not going to do that. Yeah, that's good, and kind of is a simple way of keeping everyone on track, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's just those reference points that you develop during the prep, and it was about. Just really emphasizing the darkness, and about as much as what you don't see, as much as what you do see, and I think our references, there weren't that many. I know I'd shown Roger the John Singer Sargent portraits, with the.
Which Rachel was.
Yeah, I mean, there's a particular famous one with the woman in the black dress and the sort of alabaster skin, and she's almost luminous, sort of almost glowing from within. So that was always a sort of an image that sort of, especially when she came down with the pearls at Christmas, that was, that was going to be the icon. That was meant to be the iconic sort of.
The poster.
Yeah.
Great. Another question? There was one. Stuart's got one.
Thanks. Hello.
Hi.
Congratulations on a very elegant film. It's lovely.
Thank you.
I've got a quick question. Is different directors and different DPs have different opinions on when to go handheld, and I was just wondering what kind of conversation was like between you and Roger as to when you decided not to be gripped and when to go handheld, and how that went between you?
I guess that came, I think probably in the early days we thought that the majority of it would be handheld. I guess that was the sort of the working model that we sort of set out to do. And even the stuff that isn't evidently handheld, it wouldn't necessarily be on a tripod or a head. Something it would be sort of resting, so there was some slight breathing there. So there's always something happening, even if it was very slight. I think it was during that time when you're sort of blocking the scene and talking about the coverage. It mainly came out of that, and it was because obviously the actors they bring their own sort of thing to it, and a scene that you thought was pretty straightforward of coming in or sitting down, suddenly it's, oh no, they're going to go over there, and it's the sort of fluidity of the scene suddenly emerges out of the blocking, and it just feels like the right thing to do. I mean, it's quite instinctive, really. Yeah, can't really. Yeah, so it's. I mean, I'd be interested to see how much exactly is the proportion of handheld. It felt a lot. But,
oh yeah,
yeah. But and again, it was that thing of trying to keep it alive, and not be too sort of formal and sort of presentational about it. If that answers the question.
Any more questions? Anyone? Cool. Well, I've seen this film twice now. Watched it first time yesterday on DVD. And I was looking for it to find things to ask you about, so I was kind of looking at it from just trying to notice things about camera movement, about lighting and stuff. But I'm seeing it now on this. It affected me an enormous amount, and it really, I think it's the kind of sad. She really had his number, didn't she? That kind of as being a puppy dog who's looking for his mum, and that kind of whole Oedipal thing. I think it's really brilliant writing and beautifully observed.
Yeah.
Mike Eley.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you.